Hello everyone. Why is my camera always messed up? And people ask where the dog is. Okay, hello. Hello, hello, hello. And also hello. Well, hi Red Center and the MX and the Penguin operator. Why am I being so quiet? I have no idea. Okay, so I was working during the ad break on my game, so real quick, I just want to commit this. I have networks in my hacking game now. So that's cool. But today I want to work on my compiler a little bit. Twitch is better. Yes, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna pretend Twitch is better. It's not good, but it's better. By far. Okay. So, about the compiler. Actually, the project that I closed has the information on what I want to do today. Yesterday I worked a little bit on my operating system, which, by the way, was crashing left and right. I ended up fixing it. It's fine now. It's funny because when you have a bug in your allocator, one bug will break everything, every single thing. So I think that the complete fix was like one line of code. But you know, to write that one line of code, it took a whole lot of other lines of code that ended up being prints, which I left in case I need to debug again. But disabled because you don't want your allocator to print every time it allocates memory. Also, the allocator powers the print, so that wouldn't be great. And also, the time that it took to actually find which line of code needed to be changed and what, well, added, actually, was missing. It was a missing line of code, not a wrong line of code. So which line of code needed to be added and where it needed to be added and why it needed to be added took a little bit. But the system is back to being stable now, I think. And I started to make it distributed, but I got more coming for that next week. Today I want to work on my compiler, on code generation optimizations and transformations. Essentially, the way that the compiler works right now is it parses a syntax based off what it finds here. For example, an expression is any of these options. I use this to indicate a negative of an expression, parentheses with an expression inside, a mathematical expression, a lambda, a function call, a chained expression, which has a period, a constant value, or a variable name. Wait, also, why is Twitch better? What's going on with YouTube? Is something wrong with it? I kind of overlooked that comment. I mean, if something wrong with it, I could go on for hours, but like, is something wrong with my stream right now? Where was I? Yes, it has the left side rules to parse and the right side after the at here to indicate what it represents. Right? So no matter the syntax of your language, as long as you tag it with expression, it knows it's an expression. It doesn't matter if I use the word not, or if I use this, or if I use... What else do you use? Sometimes they use no directly. It doesn't matter. As long as I tag it as an operand, it is considered to be an operand. What is confusing without directories? Oh, are you talking about the compiler? Yeah. If you're talking about the compiler, I need to do that 100%. Then again, I really only started doing that in my game that I was working on at the beginning of the stream. Yesterday, I think? Yeah, it could use a little bit of subdirectories. I started doing that and then I just never did anything with it. So maybe as we work, I'm gonna move stuff around because, yeah, it would be nice. All right, really quickly, I did mention Jester over there has not a surgery, just a tooth cleaning coming up tomorrow. So I just got sent some information I gotta look over real quick. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back, and he's very healthy. Also, in the report that they just sent me, it says sex unknown. Jester's agender. I didn't even know that. Actually, no. One time, as a joke, definitely as a joke, okay? I don't want this to sound absolutely unhinged, so this was a joke. I made him pick his pronouns and his sexual orientation, and he picked straight and he, so confirmed. A man. I did ask him, I literally asked him. I just held out like pieces of paper in my hand and he just sniffed one. Nah, that's the wrong pronoun now. Between he, she, and they, he picked he. And between gay, straight, and bisexual, he picked straight. And I have to say, judging on behavior, it tracks. It tracks. But yeah, apparently the science cannot determine his gender. I don't know what's going on there. They just haven't filled in the information, probably. There's latency on both chats, keep in mind, especially when I'm streaming in 4K. There's always going to be a little bit of latency. But it's way lower on Twitch. YouTube barely even knows I'm live half the time. Let me put it that way. Like, you can see the stream just fine, but the stream manager barely even knows I am live. Ever. Okay. Back to the compiler. Yeah, on the left side of these expressions, you can have whatever syntax you want. On the right side, you have the meaning of that syntax. And that generates an intermediate representation, which is just, pseudo-binary. It's binary. It's a binary representation of what the code looks like. And then that is used to generate C code. The problem is that it isn't always that straightforward. Also, I check out a new programming language once per stream. I have these 4 left. Today's is Agda Day, whatever the hell that is. So I'm gonna be doing that, but later. I just saw that coming up. It's a dependently typed program. Oh my god, just tell me what it is, man. Show me the syntax. Wait, what the fuck is this? Alright, I might have to pick a new one because I'm not sure what this is. But one thing I do want to note is that Rock Q used to be known as Cock, but they changed its name, and I can't really blame them for that one. Okay, I was actually gonna go here. Well, no. Why am I doing this here when I could just write code? Okay, when you're writing code, you have a function. And let's say that in that function you call traverse directory, which takes a function pointer, right? It takes a directory. And then it takes a function pointer so that for every item inside the directory, it calls that function, and you can handle that however you want. You can process the information that it passes you without needing to generate like a list of contents or anything archaic like that. And C doesn't support this, but my language does. It has lambdas for this, in which you can specify a function inside here. And you can do whatever you want to do with this. Yep, this is the function that is going to get called every time it finds an item in the directory, in which case we can just print the full file path by printing the directory slash the name. Wait, slash the name. Like that. Another thing that you can do is say that, for example, you need to allocate a string. For some reason. It wouldn't really be necessary here where I'm doing it, but yeah. Say you need to allocate a string, and then you need to free that string whenever you finish working with your function. But say, for example, why is it capitalized? I am counting the number of files that I find inside here. And say that I have a if not count return. Right, so if I didn't find any files, I'm not going to continue with the execution of my program. Whereas instead, I am just going to print there are I files, print the count, and then, I don't know, for each of the files that it found, I am going to display the file like this, assuming that this function put the file in here. Right. String is doing an allocation, and that allocation needs to be freed. So the way of doing this in C is I would do string free s, and then, oh, what if I do an early return that doesn't get freed? So I have to do this bullshit. Which is why a lot of programming languages have defer. So I don't have to do all this all the time. Oh my god, I keep trying to save the file. I can do that. Defer until the end of the function. When you reach the end of the function before you return, you're going to call this code. And actually, we no longer need that. And there I go again, trying to save the file. So these are both convenient things that my language actually supports. I hope anyway. Well, yeah, except this is C syntax. And also, it has completely lost the plot, and also the syntax highlighting. Expected L parenthesis and found a plus in function call on line 7. Oh, increments are not allowed in my language for the time being, so you have to do them manually like this. I always complain that languages don't allow increments anymore, and I don't understand why. And then I don't even have them in my language. Errors are values or as values or exception. I think as values makes more sense. Exceptions are dumb. Not gonna lie. Also, an uncaught exception is gonna crash your program. Found not because there. See what I said before. I used the word not because I've had a lot of problems in which I accidentally invert a condition because I don't realize that this very tiny symbol is there, especially if it's like this. So I use the word not. And what else are we complaining about now? Yes, right. If statements have to have brackets. And then what else? Okay, now I don't know what you're talking about anymore. Expected left parenthesis found semicolon. Wait. I don't allow empty returns. I just realized that. You have to return. I've mostly used this language for my build system, and there I almost always want to return a boolean. So I never realized that you can't return an empty value. Okay, and it's like false. Wonderful. You love to see it. Okay, so why do you segfault? When all you had to do was show me what is going on. Because C code, the C code emitter is having a little bit of trouble. Hey Jake, 392. Still? Oh my god. Line 420, let's go. Yeah, so there's something here that shouldn't be happening, but it cannot find files. Right, is that what you're complaining about? Oh, okay, I understand what's happening. Yeah. Okay, so because I often reference code that is in a C library when I write code in this language, because I don't have a library written in the language yet. If I can't find a symbol that is being used during code generation, I should have this little hack here, which allows me to just create it on the fly, even if it doesn't exist. Again, for the sake of simplicity. Even something simple like true and false aren't really defined in the language, and so it's like, oh, I don't understand what true means. So that would be an error normally, whereas instead I want to be like, yeah, okay, trust me on this one. So it's a little bit of a hack, but it was missing from this function, which is why this wasn't working. Theoretically, you do need it to exist, but it should fail before this moment. Okay, so I think that's the correct code. What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you complaining about here? You allocate a new symbol and then you set its name to name, which is this. What's the problem with that? The symbol name is a string slice, so what is the problem with that? Anyway. Yeah, just complain to yourself here, Clang, okay? I don't want to deal with you today. No, there is an actual problem. Name slice. Expands to find symbol with name slice, and if the symbol isn't found, print the error, but then generate the symbol manually. Oh, it's a macro problem because this is name. It thinks that it's this property when really it's literally the word main that I need to put here. So I think I do it like that. Nope. I think I do it like that then. Also no. My god. I need to use the word main here. How do I do that? Ah, my god. This is so much easier. Rather than fighting against C macros, I just changed the name of the variable. Okay, there we go. So yeah, during the code generation, it's like I don't know what true is. Also, I'm not being particularly I'm not making a whole lot of sense in this code. It's mostly just to test all the syntax of my language. So, for example, I reference, it's actually right that files doesn't exist because I'm referencing files here. That's not a real thing. It's not a real variable. But again, complain about it, don't do anything about it. Okay, so the code that I wrote before is a little bit ugly formatted, but it should be mostly correct if it wasn't because Clang is... can I pause you? I can stop you, okay. At least it doesn't scream at me that everything is wrong. I know it's wrong. It translated that code in cred to C. And in so doing, like I said, C doesn't support functions like this. This is not allowed. A lambda function like this is not allowed. And the fur is not allowed. But the compiler takes care of that. In order to generate that code, what it does is it takes the lambda out here before the function that's being generated. And it puts it here. And I even added a return type to it because it couldn't always figure out the return type. Well, it couldn't figure out the return type. I have no type inference in the compiler yet, so I haven't bothered with any of that. But in this case, it has a return type of void. And yeah, it creates the lambda up here as a normal function. And then it simply calls that function, or passes that function pointer to the function, which is expected to take a function pointer. You should be able to find my email, yes. on my YouTube. GitHub is down again? What's going on with GitHub? I heard it was down, but I haven't used it. Oh, I heard it was down from you on my Discord, but I haven't used it. Right, so that's the thing that it does about lambdas. And then when it comes to defer, it takes the code that used to be here, that was marked with defer, creates a label called main defer, puts that code here, then actually returns at the end of that, and wherever there used to be a return value, at the beginning of the function, it creates a return val, default initialized, and then when you were doing return 0, what it does is return val equals 0, and then go to main defer, and main defer is gonna execute whatever it's supposed to execute, and then return the return value. So this currently works. And besides the occasional indentation issue, like the indentation should be like this, it works fine. The code is okay. If it was valid code, it would run. The problem is the files thing doesn't exist. I just kind of wrote it as an example, but if it was a correct code in the first place, then it would actually run. But the way that it does all this jumping around is messy as hell. I hate it, and I want to redo it. But also, it has a limitation. One that I can think of, it probably has more than one. Let's say, for example, that while I'm doing the string, right, it somehow fails. So I check if the string.data is missing. Oh no, something went wrong, the string wasn't properly allocated. Then I gotta return 0. Again, because it doesn't allow me to just return empty. I didn't realize that was a thing. Wait, hold on. Maybe we can make it return empty. That shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, so I'm developing a compiler right now. I'm just making some improvements to it. I should be able to let it return empty by just making this optional. Nope. Wait, again, I forgot the brackets. Yes. Okay. So again, let's say that something went wrong during this allocation, and so I return early. This defer doesn't run. It actually is gone. Oh wait, this is the modified version, so it doesn't have the latest changes. Yeah, this return is empty. And it doesn't go through the defer code. Now, is that correct? I have to admit, I know about defer, I know it's a thing that exists. I haven't used it in any languages that I can think of. And most importantly, I haven't really built software with defer. And because of that, I can't tell you whether or not this is okay. Looking at it from this point of view, it makes sense. So right now, I'm just explaining what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna be compiler stuff. It's gonna be like the intermediate representation.
ZHO raided your channel with 44 viewers.
Yo, Zedashaw, thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. Welcome, everybody. How was your stream? What were you up to? I've seen you a few times around here. So we're just getting started, 34 minutes into the stream, and getting some compiler work done. I'm explaining the current limitations that my compiler has that I'm hopefully going to try to get rid of by doing some transformations on the code. Well, a compiler is a bit of a strong word. It's a transpiler, it transpiles to C. From this language over here, which looks awful if you have a language server telling you that everything is... Can you please stop the language server? What is happening? Oh, okay. That was weird. If it has everything telling you that everything is wrong, because this is the C syntax highlighter, and this is not C, but it's similar to C. But it translates to C. And what I was explaining is that my language has defer and has lambdas, whereas C doesn't. And my way of currently translating those lambdas and defer to C code is a little bit hackish. I hate it. And also, it can have some limitations. Now, I'm making a new language. It's mostly just C with a little bit of convenience on top, honestly. I like C well enough. Okay, so as I was saying, if a return is found before the defer, the code generator doesn't know that oh, there's supposed to be a defer, so I'm not supposed to just immediately return. I'm supposed to put whatever return value there is into the return value variable. So it doesn't know to do this whole thing, even though I just realized it's empty now. Because I just hacked together returns without values. I'll have to fix that in the code generator. No, I'm converting to C and then I'm letting GCC do its thing. Eventually, I do want to do LLVM, but I like using C. It also, I feel like it makes it really easy. As a language that I know a lot about and I use every day, a lot, I can easily look at my code and what it's supposed to do, and look at the code that is generated in C and what it actually does, and be like, is this correct? For example, when you return here, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to go to the defer, because you're skipping the defer part. The problem is, again, I haven't used deferred that much to be able to tell you how the correct behavior of defer is supposed to work. So skill issue on my end. But again, looking at it this way, I generate a string, somehow it fails, because in the example that I'm giving, creating a string fails somehow. Also, yes, I do have string slices, which I use. I created a little bit ago, and I'm starting to move my code base to use them instead of strings. I also want to get rid of format strings. I looked at how Go does print, and I immediately fell in love, and I was like, it's so simple. How did I not think of that? But yeah. I do use string slices mostly instead of char pointers, even though I do have literal for char pointers. Yeah, so I'm creating the string, and then I'm deferring the free of the string. But what if creating the string fails? We return early because that's an error. I can't continue my code. But I don't go through the defer, because again, the code generator doesn't know that there's a defer coming up next. It doesn't know that yet. By the time that it generates this code, it isn't aware of this code, so it doesn't do a go-to. Which isn't amazing. Though again, in this particular example, this is perfectly fine, right? Because I'm creating a string, the string failed to allocate, so why would I free it? What am I freeing if literally nothing was allocated? So yeah, there's no need for the defer. But in other cases, there would be need for the defer. So again, IDK, how defers are supposed to work. Because again, I haven't actually used one in a production environment, so to speak. I guess I'll refine this behavior as I go along. but I do believe that any return should go to the deferred function. Or no, I don't know. I think so. I think so. I don't know. But either way, moving the code around, right? So moving the lambdas out of the function and into their own thing, and then moving the deferred code to the bottom of the function and the return value to the top of the function should be done by the compiler, not by the code generator itself. So we'll need to have an intermediate step to handle these kinds of situations. Rust is not happening. Another thing that I'm doing is once per stream, I'm checking out languages that I have been recommended, and Rust was one of them, and I cried. Okay, I didn't, but it was awful. Then again, it got me 10,000 views on my new TikTok account, so not about to complain about that. 10,000. Well, I don't know. I don't know the exact number. It might be lower than that, but still, it got me a few views on TikTok and on YouTube, but fewer. So I'm happy. C developer complains about Rust, a classic. I am doing a full lexer, parser, AST. Semantics is maybe the thing that is a little bit more meh right now. Actually, you see here all these symbol not found things. So the next thing I want to work on is on making semantics a little bit better. So these should all be errors, but right now they're being ignored. And I have a little hack that was actually causing a crash when I first opened this. Because sometimes I use certain symbols that aren't defined, like true and false. They're not variables, they're built-in keywords, except my language doesn't have any concept of built-in keywords yet. It doesn't have any concept of which symbols are defined by an external header or an external module or anything like that. So for the time being, if I find a symbol that I am not familiar with, I just assume that it's right. And if it's not, if you really used a symbol that doesn't exist, the GCC will tell you about it. And that's going to be your problem, not my compiler's problem. Oh well. But I do plan on having better symbol support and maybe type inference eventually. Because also another thing, lambdas need to have a return type. So, wait, do they need to have a return type or do they default to void? I think they default to void. Yeah, they default to void. But if it's not void, it needs to have an explicit return type, which I don't love. Although I could fix up its syntax a little bit, make it a little bit better than what it is right now. Everyone likes to use some form of arrow for lambdas, and I'm not. No, I'm not sure what my plan is here. Am I trying to be cool? Am I trying to be edgy? IDK. Okay. So, again, what I want to do is a little bit of transformations, and technically also this could work for optimizations on the intermediate representation of your code. Yeah, Z is nice. I have to say, it's really nice. It works well. I found a few bugs here and there, but genuinely restarted and it works fine. Is that Rust syntax? Is that, hold on. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, it's nice of them to give you this. Show syntax diagrams. Interesting. Nice that they draw this, actually. For the god-awful syntax that they have, they explain it really well. But no, apparently that's not Rust syntax. Okay. I'm honestly not entirely sure how I'm gonna do this. But I am sure I'm gonna figure it out. Shortly. Okay. Also, I was told to start using subdirectories, and yeah. You're not wrong about that one. So little by little, I'm gonna start moving everything into subdirectories. Okay, so this is the intermediate representation generator, and then on top of it, we're gonna want to have an IR transformer. This is where it's okay. This is the thing. The steps of compiling, even though a lot of times they're handled by different programs entirely, but the steps of compiling are lexing, might as well just draw a little diagram. Parsing, this thing that doesn't fit in here, semantic analysis, intermediate representation generation, which is again just some form of representation of the code that the compiler understands. It's not the same as the original code, it's different per each compiler or whatever, but that is optimization. That is what it is. On that intermediate representation, which is essentially the same representation for the same code, even if it was written in different languages, kind of. You can do some general level optimizations. So these are optimizations that aren't specific to the architecture that you're working with or the target that you're working with, right? So whether you're compiling this code for x86 or whether you're compiling it for the Java virtual machine or whether you're compiling it for ARM or RISC, it doesn't matter. These optimizations are always the same. For example, you get rid of an unused function. That makes sense. Then, after that, you do some specific optimization. These have better names than what I'm giving them right now, but yeah, whatever. So, you know, I'm doing this operation and x86 has a specific instruction for it. Okay. Use that instead of the whole thing that was written out. Whereas in ARM, if you don't have that instruction, then you don't do that. But maybe ARM has SIMD. So you do that. x86 has another SIMD syntax, so you do the same thing but with entirely different functions and whatnot. And then finally you do the generation. I'm explicitly calling it generation because in my case it's C code generation. In other cases you generate assembly, or it really depends. Yeah, it's usually assembly or bytecode, I guess. Right. So these are the steps. And this is not the one I'm doing. in a way, this is the one I'm doing. Again, for the same reason that I call this specific optimization instead of calling it like architectural optimization. Actually, what does the Wikipedia page for compilers call this? And yes, compilers are good again. Cool again, I mean. Front end does that, yeah, so lexical analysis, syntactic analysis, semantic analysis. Syntactic analysis is also parsing, right? Then it generates an intermediate representation for further processing. This is a lower level representation of the program with respect to the source code. So far, so good. Then it does optimizations that are independent of the CPU architecture being targeted. So again, that's not the one that we're doing. Whereas the backend, it takes the optimized intermediate representation and it can do more on it specific to the CPU architecture, right? So you have a separate one for x86, you have a separate one for ARM, you have a separate one for RISC, JVM, or in my case, because I'm not generating an executable directly, but I'm generating C, my target isn't an assembly language, it's C. And then GCC does all the other stuff for me. Read the description of the YouTube. Read the description. Hold on, let me check that it actually got updated, because YouTube is kind of like that. Though I think... How do I check... Here. Yeah, anyway, yeah, check that. Instead of generating assembly, we're generating C. So instead of doing transformations for assembly, we're doing them for C, but this is this thing, the backend optimizations and transformations and whatnot. So this IR transformer, I'm not gonna bother with it yet. This is the one that again takes care of like getting rid of dead code. Maybe if you created a variable that you're not actually using, it gets rid of it. Yeah, simple optimizations like that are common for everybody. But this is not what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. C code optimizations. I'm going to call it an arch transformer or architecture transformer. And right now, the compiler has only one backend, which is generating C code, but it isn't necessarily supposed to do that. Or it isn't necessarily the only target. Right now, the way to switch to another target would be to first create another code generator, and I guess another transformer like this one. But I completely lost what I was going to say. Yep. You kind of have to use compilation flags. This one. If def c code gen, then you have this code, otherwise no. Okay, since I'm moving code around, probably gonna have to change a bunch of headers. But I'm kind of gonna do the same thing. Is it if def? Code gen. Right, so if I want to, I can just swap out the backend from C to something else by just changing this flag to another one. Well, not there in the codegen.h that actually defines it, but yeah. That does mean, though, that I do need to have an arch transformer which defines what kind of transformations we're going to be doing. And let's make it return a boolean. Perform transformations on a codegen root. Where codegen is just the hold on, I'm lost. Is the object that is used to generate the code. Right, so this is implemented by the C code generator. And right now it just returns true. So I just need to plug it into the rest of the compiler and then actually start building it. So how is it going to work? Main is the one that has the whole compiler. Here we analyzed the semantics of the language. And I'm starting to notice that this is going to become quite nested if I keep going that way. So return false, or return -1 actually. Otherwise, you're going to generate this code. What is your problem? Call to undeclared function gen code. Pretty sure it is declared, buddy. Oh, but this changed. So it's now ir gen. While I was up there, I also needed to include the irgen arch transformer, which again defines how we are going to transform the code. If this fails, perform transformations on the wait, I just realized the code generator is inside of here. It really shouldn't be. It should all be here. Because then I can customize how the compiler works by just changing this one function. So I need to make some more changes. Yeah, this generate code needs to be out of here. Oh, what did I just do? Okay. Damn it. I keep pressing shift by accident and messing everything up. I guess you need to include code gen as well. There you go. This generates the IR, and if no IR pointer, then return 0. The intermediate code generation failed. And then after that, we want to perform transformations on that there. And there. Okay, so full logic. We first parse, which gives us a result. If the result failed, we print an error, we just -1, which here I'm turning 0, I just realized. If we've done, lexing is done during parsing as well. Kind of, actually. Well, lexing is done by this. Maybe I should move it to its own little function, but whatever. Then parsing, if that fails, we're done. Otherwise, we do semantic analysis. Here, if that fails, -1. Otherwise, we do the IR generation. If that fails, -1. Otherwise, again, this step we're not currently doing, so we're just gonna gray it out, even though that's white. We skip to this one. If this one fails, -1. Otherwise, we generate the code, which returns nothing. So we're good. Okay. So the structure of everything is correct like that. But there's an ad starting on Twitch. So I'm going to run it, and I'm just going to very quickly move some of these files around in the meantime. Or the ad is actually going to run in about a minute, because Twitch is cute like that, and sometimes takes forever to actually run an ad. So CodeGen, you literally have a function, a folder called CodeGen here. Oh. Yeesh, I didn't realize this is generated by the language itself. So these CodeGen functions, which are then defined here. Can I auto-generate this code, I wonder? No, not auto-generate, but like generate it with the language itself. I'm not entirely sure. I should be able to. But it maybe isn't the best option. So I'll leave these files in here for now, I think. Debug code generator is beyond old, so this can go. Can we compile? Did that do anything? No. Does this return true? Yes. It can return false if it fails, but otherwise it returns true. Semantic analysis done. That is returning true, most likely. Then gencode returns eval rule. And then what? Hold on, I can actually print this as a string if I just do sem rule to string scope. Yeah, so it is generating the intermediate representation. I have a stub function that returns nothing, and I'm complaining that it doesn't work. There we go. Ah, Mondays. Am I right? Is today Monday? Yes. I think, anyway. Okay. Well, that was almost the entire ad break spent debugging the stupidest thing. I'm so proud of myself right now. I do have a question. If you do nothing and you're just vibe coding, what exactly is your role in all of this? Seems to me like the AI is doing all the work. So, what does it mean when you say that you're building something, but the AI is doing all the work? I don't think you're building something. Okay. The stub for the function is there. It just needs to actually do something now. This is the part that kinda sucks about it. I have to write a different function for how to do transformations on every single one of my intermediate representation statements, which are listed in this enum here. So all of these need to have a type. Yep, 2 new subdirectories. We're on it. Hold on. You gotta wait a little bit. You gotta let me take my time, okay? Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of functions. However, before we do that, each intermediate representation statement has a way of transforming it. It has a way of emitting its code, which calls this emit code function. But it should also have the transform. Hey, Reddit Tusker. All right, you can complain about the fact that I don't have any subdirectories and then complain that I have too many. You gotta pick a struggle here. Okay. Next time I run this, it is going to generate the function for me. And now, anyone who conforms to this CodeGen transform will need to create this function. So this is an interface in my language, and each of the intermediate representation statements kind of conforms to it. But those are still written in C because the code inside them is quite complex, and I don't want to have to debug that if, you know, the code, the compiler breaks at some point or another. So I'm not ready to port that over to the new language. So I kind of have to write it manually. That's done by this, actually. You just declare an extern void name transform with a void pointer. And then you put that here. And that is it, except I just deleted that. Okay. And now comes the ugly part, in which I have to write all of those functions. This is what I'm looking for. If I do this right... Nah, man, why is there a break in this one? Get out of here. If I do this right, I can at least create the functions. Man, multiple cursors, whoever invented that, thank you so much, because it's the best thing that has been invented in the world of programming, like, ever. I am eternally grateful to that person. Now, the part that I hate is that I just copied 25 lines. Oh, that worked. Okay, so it doesn't quite work like I expected to. If I had put that in 2 cursors, it kind of like generates it twice. But I guess if I only have 1 cursor, it generates it once. So it does what I want. Okay, so these are all the functions that I need to create. What do? They actually create a code gen. Transform. They take a void pointer. And then I don't think I've ever had this many cursors at once. This is amazing. I'm writing 25 functions at the same time. Boom. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, Steve. Oh, wait. No, I already got rid of my cursor. Also, the return code is not even right, so let's get rid of that. There we go. Yeah, compiler dev is fun. So much fun. Yay. Well, glad you dropped by, Infinite Coder. There is a little problem with this. Well, little problem. It is quite a problem. And it's the fact that the interface, when you call its transform method, what it does is it takes an instance and passes in the pointer of that instance, whereas CodeGen is just kind of a vtable type of thing. It just holds all the function pointers for that type and the type itself. But then the return type is also CodeGen. So when I'm doing a transformation, I have to create a new CodeGen. That's fine. But when I'm not doing a transformation, when I emit the code as is, which is going to be most of these cases, what do I do? I don't currently have access to the original CodeGen object.
Skyflex dev
I have
followed your channel.
access to its pointer, but not to the object, which, you know, kind of sucks. I can't really, I don't want to copy it. Maybe I can just return empty. And if it's empty, then you don't change anything in the parent. Because essentially what's going to happen in here is we're going to take a root, right? And hey, Win95. Wait, it's a void? Forgot to change it to return a code gen. Yeesh, that's a problem. Ah, no, wait, hold on. Hmm. It should have been a struct code gen that it returns. Which it didn't quite include. Oh, wait. See. Neither of those. See. So already my code generator has a couple issues. Here it should have added the keyword struct like it does here, but it doesn't. That one's on me. That's fine. That's just a limitation of the code generator. And then, but what I was thinking is I need to have the original code gen object. I can just pass it in. Right, does it use the word instance? It does already use the word instance. Oh, here it generates it. Fine. The important thing is it passes it as the second argument, and now I have access to it. The issue, like I said, is that here it skips the struct keyword, which is a minor issue of the code generator that I'll have to fix eventually. Another issue is that this does not return. So, oh, next time I compile this, it's gonna override all the changes that I'm making. Okay. Especially for this last change here, that's gonna be a problem. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just not gonna recompile that file again. Okay. Tiny issue. All of those functions that I just wrote are now not fully accurate anymore. They need to have a new parameter. This. This, 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 this. I am gonna say it every single time, yes. This. I'm getting tired. This. Oh my god, why did I say I was gonna say it every single time? This, and this. Oh my god, I did it. Oh, thank god. And in the worst case scenario, I could have just done multi-cursor again. I should have done that, even though I have to select them manually. This is tedious. Return this. That's simple. Yo, Jester, what's up? GitHub is down until morale improves. Is GitHub down? Looks like a skill issue to me. Thanks for the follow, B. Interesting fork there. What are you up to? DDoSed since an hour ago? Are we good in terms of code? We're not good in terms of code. CodeGen void pointer from struct CodeGen. Struct CodeGen and CodeGen are not the same thing. Don't tell me I have to go through all those again and just add the word struct to all of them, because I am gonna go crazy. incompatible. Oh wait, the problem is actually this. Yeah, okay. And then back at the beginning of this thing, I do have to pass it twice, which is kind of weird, but yeah. The point is that it works. Even though I had to disable code generation for this thing because it is now utterly broken. I'll try to fix it at the end of the stream, maybe. Code Spaces is experiencing degraded performance. We're continuing to investigate. We applied mitigation. We'll continue to monitor for full recovery. Pull requests are degraded performance. We're investigating. We're continuing to investigate. We're continuing to investigate. We're continuing to investigate. They're continuing to investigate. And they're also continuing to investigate. 1925 tweet from GitHub. OpenAI devs GPT 5.3 codex is now generally available and rolling out on GitHub Copilot. It's probably not related. But please God, let it be related because it would be so fucking funny. Let it be related to that, please. For the love of God, let it be related to that. Please, for the love of God, let it be related to that. Let it be related to that, please. I am begging you. Okay. All right. So, I have all those stubs now. And what they do is absolutely nothing for the time being. Literally just return the same thing that they get as input. Root. And it works. I believe. I got rid of most of the code that was here, so that's not really helpful. There's a reason that the output.h and .c are in source control, and it's so that I can compare if anything's changed in them when I generate new code. If I change them, of course, you can't really see that. But if we go back to the normal ones, yes, nothing's changed, everything is the same. Clank freaks the hell out with this file, but that's your problem, not mine. Clang, your anxiety does not belong to me. They probably oh, please let it be related to that. I need it to be related to that. God, Microsoft, please, I need another generational fuck up. I need it. No, I don't. Plus, if it's not today, it's gonna be tomorrow. Like, let's face it, it's Microsoft. But it would be so funny. Okay. So yeah, right now what it does is it just returns the same code that it receives as input. But in most cases, that's gonna be fine. In some cases, we needed to actually do some changes. Right. So, and in some cases, we need to do some extra analysis on top of it. So we're doing a intermediate representation optimizer, mostly transformer for my compiler right now. Okay, for example, the block of code has a statement and then another block of code. So it needs to have that analyzed. It needs to do a transformation on it. I hate having to pass this in twice. I'm gonna have to fix the syntax quite a lot, actually. But your problem is that, of course, you expect there to be a pointer, not that. So that on the chain. Right? So whatever statement we represent, transform that, and then the next statement after this one. That's it. Now, the actual statement. For a declaration, we're not really going to do any kind of transformation there. For an assignment, very clearly this is an assignment, we're not going to do any transformation. For expressions, if it has a lambda, we need to do a transformation. Though we're not going to do it just yet, we're just going to print need to transform. That's it. That's all we're going to print right now. What the fuck is syscall.h? It doesn't exist. You know, I actually took compilers in college. I had to build a compiler, and then I got the date for the presentation for it wrong, so I never showed up, so I didn't pass that class. But I really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to do a compiler ever since, so. Lovely. Okay, when we're calling a function, no transformation needed. But we do need to. That's the thing, when we're doing an expression, we need to do some more transformations inside of the expression as well, because expressions tend to have a lot of complexity to them. They have a variable and an not an exponent, expression, that's an expression. Yeah, this syntax is not absolutely fucking amazing, I'm not gonna lie to you. Textbook? No. Even if they did use textbooks, which they didn't, I don't do that. So keep in mind, a lot of college graduates may not even understand this. You don't need this kind of stuff to code, so it's like, it's kind of niche, first off. Second, the way that I do things doesn't necessarily tend to follow a whole lot of standards. I just sit down in front of a computer and I just type words into it and it works. I don't look at reference, I don't look at how other people do things. And it often comes back to bite me in the ass. Not really, because I'm that good. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone who knows about compilers also has no idea what I'm doing, is what I'm saying. Because, hell, I barely know what I'm doing right now. I'm just improvising. This one has a chain, so we'll need to do the chaining for this one. There's so much verbose code going on here. Hold up. If code name dot pointer, then code name equal to code gen transform code name, comma, code name. Transform, stat. But of course I always use these things wrong, so God even knows what I wrote there. This expands to if code stat pointer, then code stat equals to code gen transform code stat code stat. That is actually 100% perfect. I have no real clue what you're complaining about here. Passing formed stat an invalid processing token. Your mom's an invalid processing token. What are you complaining about here? Isn't this perfectly formed code? It expands to something absolutely fucking perfect. It literally expands to... It literally expands to that. What's the problem with that? Hey, Arctic. Damn, is it 9 already? What the hell happened? That was fast. X now. Pasting formed chain. What are you talking about? No, wait. This seems to work too, actually. Okay. Well, there. We did it. Okay. So I can simplify this code a lot by hold on. Again, let's make whoever created the multiple cursor, let's make them incredibly proud by just writing this. Why did it come out like that? Why did it come out like that? Where this is supposed to be exp, and this is supposed to be var. And what is your problem with them? What just happened? Holy Trnasoferm murder. My dyslexia is reaching new levels every day. It's amazing. Okay, transform chain. Anything else that needs to be transformed here? This is where I was. The expression, yes. Okay. The conditional, the chain, and the scope, all three of those. Transform, conditional, scope, and chain, all three need to be transformed. For a jump, I'm pretty sure there's not even a transformation allowed. You just jump to a label. Same for the label, you just declare that label. For a parameter, I doubt that we're going to be doing any transformations here, but should be just a chain, I believe. For a function, there's going to be quite a lot of transformations going on here. It has arguments. It has a body. And that's where the first statement is going to be, by the way. It then has a signature as well. So that one, it probably will need to transform. The thing is that syntactically, the function's signature and the function and the rest of this function declaration are separate rules, where the signature is part of the other one. Here we could actually, probably not gonna bother doing this today, but put signature inside of function code, inside of here, directly. All right, because the function signature is just the name and return type, which, shit, can I do the transformation right now? It might actually be the easiest one to do. If it has a signature, then you take the type from its signature, which I believe is a func code as well. And you take the name from the signature, then you deallocate the signature, then you zero out that pointer, or that reference to it. Okay, so I said I wasn't going to implement it, and it ended up being pretty easy to implement, I believe anyway. Well, I guess we'll find out. But it is actually a good candidate for the first implementation, so I don't know what I was complaining about. Okay, a for loop has all of these: initial, increment, condition, and body. All of them need to be evaluated for a transformation. There's a lot of boilerplate right now. For the while, these two. A lot of boilerplate and nothing happening. So, sorry about that. It's literally the same as a do while. I could join them. Next up is the variable. The variable has var and expression. So just run a transform on both of those. An inc is an include. That one doesn't have any transformations to it. A struct has contents. Very opaque type going on there. So transform its contents. That's it. A return has a return expression. Which, by the way, I need to fix the code generator to allow returns with no value. A defer is where we're going to have to do quite a lot of work. But first off, before we even do any of that, we're going to let it transform its internal expression. I'm not sure how I'm going to move code around yet, actually, so I'll have to figure that out. An int? What is an int? Oh, an interface. Yeah, I need to make these names a little bit better. An enum has contents as well. An enum case just has a chain for the next case after it. An else statement has the block. Except that was not the else statement. A switch statement, we're getting to the end, finally. There's only these two to fill out. 2 here, 3 here. Maybe I need to add some reflection to my language so that I can do these kinds of things automatically. That'd be cool. Okay. So, if I did everything right, the code shouldn't change. So these two should stay the same. If they light up in yellow, that's a problem. They stay the same. Amazing. Amazing. Now, for the function code, I use this signature thing because of the thing that I mentioned before. The function's signature and the rest of the function, the arguments and the actual contents of it, are the signature is a child of the parent function. So we don't want that. I currently have some code to just fix that real quick, but since it is no longer necessary, we should be able to just get rid of that little exception inside of the code generator and use it directly for there. Bye, Arctic. Oh, the arguments are actually part of the signature. I completely forgot that part. I feel like I wasn't adding the arguments. I was about to say it worked because I was looking at I don't even know where I was looking. I was supposed to look at this. And I saw that it didn't change, but it didn't change because this failed. Because on 290, I forgot to remove a reference to sig, turn it back into code. Although, it worked. It worked. Okay, the first transformation is working. Just flattening the code there a little bit, which is quite useful. Gets rid of a hack, I guess. Cool, 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 cool. Now, here is the problem with the first and returns and all those other things. I don't actually know what transformation to apply to them and how and where and all that stuff. So while I think about that a little bit, slash stall, how about I just quickly figure out the fixes to return. I said that right now return does not work. Until today, I mean, return didn't have a version of it that didn't take a value. And so because of that, it wasn't prepared for handling that. We can very quickly do that. Also, another thing I really want to do is a code template for the generators, because this is kind of so hard to take care of. Oh, something changed. That was not supposed to be there. Okay. So that was a typo. Output works the same as it did before. The problem is, of course, we weren't actually returning empty values. If we return an empty value, then it works, except it has a double semicolon. So we can just get rid of this semicolon. Take a hint, nobody else is using it except for this, so it makes sense. Okay. That's working now. And I kind of thought of how to do this a little bit. For example, for the first, how to make the function use a return value instead of just directly returning. Do we have any examples of that? Yes, here it is. Well, the way to do that is when we find a defer, we simply set a flag, and then the function will automatically know if it has it or not. Here's the thing though, I created this for context. And these functions, which are useful for this kind of thing. You know, for pushing the current context, are we in a function right now? Are we in a lambda? Is there a defer? Is there a return? Well, not really is there a return, but yeah, those kinds of things. These contexts I'm using for that, and I should continue to use. So I'm going to move them out of the code generator, and I'm going to include string slice, and I'm going to include, what is a convenience type? Ah. That doesn't need to be included, that needs to be put here. And okay, with that there, I just have to emit context. Oh, but what is your problem? Print is undeclared. Oh, I got rid of another header that was here, didn't I? There we go. Okay, that fixes it. Okay, so now I have this very convenient thing. I can push contexts and say, hey, right now we're in a function. So if you find a defer, please let me know that there is a defer. And that is going to be helpful for the function stuff. Because yeah, do the transformations on the arguments, do the transformations on the body. But before you do the transformations on the body, you're going to save the current emit context. Wait. And create a new one, because they need to stack. So the function that pushes a new context also holds on to the old one, so it can restore it, which it would restore here. Restore context. That way you can have nested functions, which are lambdas. They're essentially nested functions. Okay, what is my nested context going to have? Oh, not my nested context, my actual content. First off, we need to indicate that we're in a function. Then, that's really it. That's all we need to do right now. And then in the defer, ish. No, wait. Am I good with this? I never know about declaring variables in the header. The header is being included inside of two different C files. Am I creating two different variables, which is what I want, or am I creating just one variable, which should be fine, but maybe will break? Or will it just create an error? It's an error. There's multiple definitions of it. What if I make it static, though? Then it's two different ones, I believe. I believe, anyway. I'm not sure. But until it breaks, this works for me. Okay. So yeah, the function says, hey, we're in a new context right now, you're inside of a function. Then the defer can just tell the current context, hey, there's a defer. Okay, so you know that now. And if there is a defer, for now, let's just print, make sure everything is working. There should be a couple of defers in the code, and or one defer in the code, maybe? There's two defers in the code. Oh, but they're both in the same function, so it only counts it once. Okay. If you found a defer, then you're going to create that return val variable, which right now is being created entirely by code, by the code generator. He's declaring it over here. He? Who's he? And then returning it at the end. That's not quite right. The transformer can create it then. So what it is going to do, it is going to create a new declaration which is going to be given a It's not really meant to work like this, is it? Yeah, I think actually we're fine if I just do this. The declaration of this, which is a... Why is it a token? It should be a string slice. What is wrong with me? See why I shouldn't have used tokens in the intermediate representation? I shouldn't have used tokens in the intermediate representation, that's dumb. What I should have done is used slices. And honestly, the best I can do right now instead of complain is just switch it over to using slices for the type. And the other thing. Should I create a slice type? I'll keep it a string slice for now. Okay. So its name is going to be slice from literal. return val. And then its type is going to be slice from lit int. Oh wait, you're not complaining about that. It's just that I changed the name of this function to slice from literal. Right, and that should create it. And I think I'm okay with not giving it an initial value, because why is it... First off, why am I assuming it's an integer? I didn't even consider that. It should not be an integer. I had not thought of that. Its type is actually going to be the function's type. Which is a token, so I guess you go back to being a token for the time being. Okay, we'll switch you over little by little, but yeah, right now that's not what I'm working on. Those are refactors and little improvements that I have to make to the code, which right now I don't feel like doing. And then BioMX. Okay, we're creating this new thing, and now the declarations. Wait. It needs to be a little bit more complex than this. Because on top of creating this, it needs to create a whole new like block to hold it. And then it needs to be okay code. I am not using CMake. Right now I have my own build system. Okay. That should make it easy to just do this. Because I'm going to be using this a lot of generating new code. You can't close your browser because you got to support the stream. You're waiting for the ad to start. That's why you can't close it. Okay, so yeah, here we just create the declaration, and then we can just do wrap in block the defer return value and the current body of the function, because this goes at the beginning of the function. Now, Alt F4 doesn't work on Mac. You have to do Command Q. And then we replace the body of the function with the new block that we just created. If that worked, because the code generator is also creating a return val, we should have two. We do not, because I forgot to update this. It has no type. Oh, the signature hack that I did isn't really working, is it? Well, it's not that it isn't working, it's that it happens after all this, whereas it should happen at the beginning of all this. Boom, still the same. Opening Chrome shows an ad and closing shows an ad. Oh god, they're probably gonna try. Are there any more news on their like new operating system that Google was working on? How's that going for them? So it did work. It did add that, but it didn't add a type to it because apparently my function doesn't have a type.
The briefcase followed your channel.
You're a math major. Nice. Once it gets to some softer side projects, curious to where you should start. Creating an OS. Oh yeah, simple project. Not one that I've been working on for the past 10 months. And that yesterday was driving me crazy because everything was crashing, definitely. Maybe something that would help you with the stuff that you're working with is probably the easiest way. Something that, you can get actual use out of, even if it's something small. Make a calculator. In case you need to do 1 + 1, you can do it with your own code, since you're studying math. That seems like a nice and useful project for a math major, because you don't have a calculator, probably. Why does my function not have a type? Again, it is a little weird that a function declaration No, wait, never mind. It isn't a little weird. It doesn't have a signature, actually. Is it losing its type by any chance? Because I'm doing this? That would be weird. But see, maybe? Wait. I just need to print it properly, I believe. Yeah. Of type int. Yeah, so my new declaration has type int. So why does it not have type int here? I feel like it should. Personally. I'm also going to change its name real quick just to differentiate it from the other one. I'm going to put 2 underscores. Which might actually be the right thing to do also. I feel like sometimes some people call private functions with, or private things with one underscore, whereas 2 underscores is usually reserved for the compiler. It has a type. Oh. Symbol not found, return value. So it doesn't have a symbol. Yeesh. My code generator relies a little bit too much on my semantic analyzer. That's a pain in the ass. I hate when that happens. Yes, I'll just have to put a little fallback in the code, which kind of sucks. Many years of experience will need to be able to build such high-level projects. I guess it depends. It is complex stuff. Usually they say that compilers and operating systems are the two most complex projects. So yeah. Not maybe 2 years, but the thing is you can do it. It would probably be a little bit slower, let's say. Speaking of which, is my new stream description showing up on Twitch? I don't think it is, because Twitch doesn't really have descriptions like that. No, but we don't do vibe coding here. Okay, my first transformation is technically there, which means I can get rid of the int return value, which again is a ridiculous thing that I did there. And during the ad break, I'm actually going to change this function real quick. So I can put the return value at the end of this as well. Same thing I just did here with a ret. I do have a corporate job. This one's a little bit more complex, isn't it? Though I should still be able to do it. If I just do this, and then I do this with this, Twitch ad to buy turbo. I hate when they do that. I don't remember what those ads look like, but God, is it annoying. What is it that Spotify does? Want to break from the ads? That bullshit. I fucking hate. I haven't used Spotify since like mid last year, and I had premium before that. But even then, it's ingrained in my brain from when I was like 14 using Spotify for free. YouTube Premium is really worth it, by the way. YouTube is a pretty platform, but it's not half bad premium. Okay, so if I'm appending code to the beginning of the function, that's really easy to do. Because all I have to do is just yeah, put it at the beginning of the function, right? But if instead what I'm doing is putting it at the end of the function, first off, I have to find the end of the function. So while blockchain, not what you're thinking, then block is blockchain. That should put us at the end of our while blockchain pointer, actually. That should put us at the end of this whole thing. And then we can just block. Wait, hold on. Yeah, blockchain equals code. Blockchain pointer equals code. No. Blockchain equals this thing. I don't have a degree. I do have a corporate job, but I also do this for fun. I'm thinking that this returns a value, and we don't really want to return a value in this case. I mean, we can just return the original value. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want to think about this too much. The point is, I create a new return statement and I attach it to the code's body at the tail, and I create the function which I attach here. Which now the function should have 2 returns. It does not. It has a goto. Right. Okay, so we're not ready to do this part yet. The reason for that is that we're not done fully transforming the code. When we defer, we're supposed to take all the code that is deferred and float it up to the top. And then that should be emitted. It currently isn't. So it needs to do that. Again, we see the code here, but that's the old code generator. The hackish way of doing what I'm doing right now. Which takes this code and puts it into the tail of the function. Which again, works until it doesn't. Until there's multiple things that need to go in the tail of the function. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I think for the time being, I'm just gonna comment this part out. And gonna see that everything works fine. I'm also gonna change this back to just one thing. And my code should look about the same. The only difference is gonna look like there's an extra space here for whatever reason. And then the return value is there. It's being created. Yes, that is correct. But the indentation is different because it used to be here. Again, a failure of the code generator. Also, this. It shouldn't have been like that. Another failure of the code generator, which is why the transformer is going to make these things better. However, it's been quite a long time. 2 hours, but it's been a bit. And it's time to take a little break and do something else. First off, see if GitHub is still down and if they've given a reason. Okay, this incident has been resolved. Thank you for your patience as we address the issue. A detailed root cause analysis will be shared as soon as it is available. We are going to wait for it. we're going to wait for it. Oh, by the way, yeah, for this code, don't try to give it any meaning. I'm just testing out the syntax of the language. So, I mean, this does make sense. This is -2 and 1 minus -2, which is 1 plus 2, which is 3. But none of this makes sense because you can see I'm actually indexing it like a index 0 of x, which is not right because I'm just testing the language. So please don't try to interpret the meaning of any of this code. It makes 0 sense. Which is why when the server is on, it actually has so many errors that it reaches this point and it's just like, bro, enough errors, fix your shit. It has all these and it's like, whoa, is this code AI generated? It makes no sense. Everything but Copilot is green. Let's keep it that way. Degraded, nah, let's make it red. Make it red. And then keep it red. Is it all regions? EU, yeah. Australia. How y'all doing, Australia? They have an entirely different website, it looks like. Copilot is operational in Australia. Copilot policy updates are now propagating correctly for a subset of enterprise users. Japan? Japan has their own region, interesting. Is it serving all of Asia, I'm assuming? Japan, operational. And then US. Copilot degraded. Okay, so Europe and US don't have Copilot. There are 3 people slacking off right now. 2 of them work at Microsoft, by the way. The other one, I don't know why that one has a subscription to Copilot. Like, what the fuck? They probably got it for free some way. Yeah. Okay. I said I was gonna check out this language, but looking at it, this is actually, I believe, like a mathematical language, maybe? Type theory is concerned with programming and logic, where C, the type system, is a way to express syntactic correctness. A type-correct program has a meaning. Lisp is a totally untyped programming language. As much as I would love to do this full-time, I do have a full-time job. Wait, Super Nintendo Chalmers has a university? Alright. Okay, so what language is this? At some point, the day that I was picking which languages I was gonna check out, people just started going crazy with the most niche recommendations, and this ended up there, and I'm honestly not sure I want to check it out, because, like, what is this? It's a proof assistant? Unlike Rock Q, which used to be known as Cock, yeah, says it right there. It's a dependently typed functional programming language originally developed by Ulf Norrell at the Super Nintendo Chalmers University of Technology, with implementation described in his PhD thesis. Oh, I'm not gonna like this. Yeah, so you know what? Executive decision. We're picking a new language. Okay, I thought it was gonna land on that one too. Okay, not gonna lie, the name of this one sounds equally mathematical to Agda. Embedded Scripting Language and Engine for Rust. No way I just landed on Rust 2. Come on. This isn't Rust. Okay. Okay. This I can do. This I can do. It's not Rust, right? No, because Rust does println very excitedly. Println! Because it's a macro. Whereas here they do print. So that's good for me. It also shows you the ast. Oh, hash, okay. I was wondering, like, where did I put that number in here? It's a hash. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay. So, Rai. You know, Jester's name used to be Rai when I got him, but spelled like this. No, wait, spelled like this. This is an Italian TV channel. It's a different story. Okay. I like seeing the AST change here, but I thought they were gonna have a... It's a debug representation of the AST. Okay, that makes sense. It would be cool if I had an actual reader. Rust or JavaScript? I feel like this is a mix between Rust and JavaScript. I'm a little bit scared and a little bit excited because I don't like either of those languages. And this might be really, really funny for me or really, really frustrating. Hey, night goggles. Alright, so the program that we're going to write is the Odin front page sample program, which is just a little state mathematical operations based off of a string, which goes like this. Such is the string. Applied on an accumulator, which is var. I don't know why I always type in the entire word accumulator, but then it's not var, it's not var. Is it just let them? Let accumulator, okay. Oh, I accidentally pressed ins. I didn't notice. Wait, do you just want semicolon? Oh no, is this Rust? Because Rust does this thing where it only allows you to skip the semicolon on the very last statement. I feel like this is Rust. Why is it C, C++? People always hate JavaScript. Seems scripted at this point. Because JavaScript is awful. JavaScript... What can I even say about JavaScript? Did that just compile? As what? Yup. An addition. This shit. Or the fact that comparing something isn't always gonna be true. Like, it's so inconsistent. It's so inconsistent that it makes it hard to just remember the rules of the language and then code according to those rules. No, really. Learn the rules, sure, but it's like the rule book is like this thick. For C, it's like this. That's why I don't like JavaScript. Okay. So let me guess, can I just do a switch statement on the program character? I'm just seeing what I can write here. I'm pretty sure you're going to complain about switch. Expecting this to terminate the statement, what, here? Or like... It feels like Rust. I think it is Rust. Embedded, yeah, it's just Rust. I'm just doing Rust again. Bro, I got fucking tricked. Somebody in chat a few weeks ago just fucking lied to me, and if I find out who you are, I'm gonna watch the VOD to see who suggested this language, and I'm gonna hunt you down. But you know what we're gonna do? It's not fully Rust, though. It seems like simplified Rust. Match is a reserved keyword? Yeah, that's why I'm using it, and it's a... Function not found. You literally gave me that function. Like right here, it says print. Oh, but maybe it's like this. Oh, okay. Shit. Did they just fix Rust syntax? Did they just fix Rust syntax? It feels like they did. It looks like they did. Because Rust doesn't use switch, it uses match. And the exact code that I wrote in Rust, I copied and pasted it in here and it had syntax errors. But when I got rid of all these ugly things... Well, this is not an ugly thing, this is a type. But this thing, it worked like a charm. Oh, and this thing? It really feels like they just simplified Rust. Which, damn. I'm still not gonna use it. But nice. Embedded scripting language and evaluation engine for Rust that gives a safe and easy way to add scripting to any application. So yeah, it is on top of Rust. It is on top of Rust, and that's actually pretty nice. Pretty nice. If only Rust had been written by people that have seen code before. That would have been cool. I like type names like U8. I've started using them. Yeah, not in the compiler, but in the game code that I was writing earlier. In network. I started using U64, U8. I introduced them to my library now, because, yeah. I prefer them to uint64 underscore t. Yeah. The only one I'm not so sure about that I added is pointer. Because usually I call them PTR. So I'm okay with having the word pointer as a type, but maybe it's still too generic. I don't know. What does Rust use for it? Rust probably doesn't allow you to deal with pointers, I'm assuming, but I don't know. Hi, Crumbus. You can get notifications on my Discord if you want. Since, yeah, Twitch is not amazing at sending notifications. But I did set up events on my Discord, so you can get them from there as well. And maybe YouTube as well. Though YouTube also kind of, you know. If someone uploads 3 times a day in 24 hours, that's enough for them to not send any more notifications. So now I added those events to Discord like a couple of weeks ago. They're very new, and I haven't said anything about them, but yeah, they're there. U-pointer might be nice. Oh, size is another one. I just called it size. That's kind of a dumb name. Quick question. Why do you have assigned size? Well, I guess so you can have -1, but I don't know about that. Though, I like that. Real quick. Yeah, those are better. Stealing those from you real quick. And yeah, the compiler is not using any of them, whereas the game surprisingly works. Where did I use pointer? There is a place, but it probably wasn't in the game either. It must have been somewhere else. Yeah, I'm just wondering, more so than wondering where you would use assigned size, I'm wondering where you would use assigned pointer. OOP is bad for performance. Is this true? No. No, it's not bad for performance. It's not optimized for performance, whereas other things like ECS are optimized for performance. But it's not bad for performance. But actually, we do have a unique opportunity here to see that interfaces in my language right now work like classes. I'm hoping to simplify them a little bit because I do want as much performance as possible from it. But yeah, they work like classes right now. And what they do is they generate a function pointer, or they generate this structure here, which contains function pointers to all of the functions that the interface has. Again, think of the interface like a class. And then a pointer to the instance of it. So when you call register lm on CodeGen, what it does is it calls this function passing this pointer as its instance. And so that means that calling a function means technically calling 2 functions. Plus this little if statement, if you care for it, it should be there for the sake of correctness, but maybe you can skip it to have a little bit more performance. Frankly, that's just one conditional, it's okay. But yeah, that is the main thing, from the way that I implemented it, that makes it a little bit slower, is the fact that in order to call a function on an object, you need to pass through its class, which then calls the function on the object. But frankly, it's not that difficult. And for that matter, you can call the function directly. Chart 32. Yeah, I probably will need to do some of that. I mentioned that I wanted to work a little bit on fonts soon for the operating system. And I guess for everything now, because even my cross-platform Raylib stuff uses my own font now, and it's yeah, an 8x8 embedded font. It's not amazing. Speaking of which, today I was thinking that I have an actual practical application for my renderer, since I have no real reason for a CPU renderer inside of what is it called? Raylib. Since it actually still defers everything to the GPU, it just does so less efficiently now. And it's still a little bit too unoptimized and too slow to run well on my operating system, especially when emulating an x86. I was thinking today that I actually came up with something that I could do. Probably modules, although I also allow including header files. So I actually created this little computer model, and the computer model is actually a 3D model. But it is a pre-rendered 3D model, which the image editor opened over here, but it has nothing. So what I'm doing right now is I have to position the camera at the exact angle that I want it. I have to put a light on it. I need to tell Blender to make the background transparent, which you do like here in film transparent. Then I need to render the image, which gives me this. And then I export this to a BMP, which then gets picked up by the game. That's cool and all, but I do have a renderer and nothing to do with it. So I was thinking that I use it as part of my pipeline for importing assets into my game, that I just have a folder with OBJ files, and I just have a little program built with the renderer that just takes OBJ files, puts them on the scene, puts the camera at a specific angle and a specific location. No light right now, but it might even be able to handle lighting eventually. And just renders that into a BMP and then puts that into the resources of the game so it becomes available. Essentially, I just do models and this pipeline automatically imports them as BMPs for me. And then they are available in the game. Because, yeah, I want the game to be... I did mention the game I wanted to... I did mention I wanted the game to be 2.5D, and I might rely on pre-rendered sprites. So this is the pre-rendering step. I might use my renderer to pre-render those sprites instead of using Blender manually. I want to automate that part. So I might work on that a little bit next weekend. We also have to build a BMP... I was going to say compiler, that's not right. A BMP formatter, but BMP is a very simple format, so I shouldn't have too much trouble doing that. Do you embed assets, or is it just a folder with the asset? No, it's a folder. All my projects have a resources folder, and then my bundle, the .red package, has the resources folder in here, so it just draws from there. And you can actually reference assets as /resources, which gives you the resources folder in your own bundle. That is how it works. It just loads the images directly. Since I already made this bundling system, that's exactly why I did it, actually. Okay. Rye. You actually fixed Rust. You made it a sensible, normal fucking language. Congratulations. Apps were originally sandboxed. Eventually I realized that, yeah, that didn't really work. But it is something I want to do out of the box too. So I kind of want to think of how to do that. The thing, and the main reason I haven't implemented something like that yet is I don't want you to have to give permission. If you're a Mac user, you know when you're like opening a document, you're like, I don't know, going to Z, you're like open folder. And then let's say that I have the folder in my documents, or even here, and it's just like, Zed would like to open a folder in your home folder. Is this okay? And you have to give it permission. And the permissions are also all or nothing. Once you give it permission, it has permission for everything. Well, not for everything. It only has permission for your document, desktop, or downloads folder, or full disk access. But still, I want you to access one file on my desktop. That doesn't mean that I am giving you access to all my files on my desktop. So that kind of sucks. That could be solved by just having a document picker. You know, when you're trying to open something, the user has to give you that file, and the operating system just gives you the open file, or gives you access to that file alone, no others. For applications in which the user opens specific files or specific folders, like sed even, this works fine. But for other types of applications where, for example, cat, which I called read, doesn't really work. I do cat, which is a binary file, so I don't know why I use that one as an example. But yeah, if you want to do if you want to do cat file, is the user here giving explicit permission for the file? What if the yeah, it's not always that easy for the user to give permission to individual files. Sometimes they want to give permission to a certain number of files. Like to a compiler, it's whatever source file I pass in. And a lot of the times, you won't specify each file individually. You'll specify, like, for example, like I'm doing here, all files with a .c extension, all files with a .cred extension, all files with a .h extension. And then I'm not giving permission to individual files. You good? Oh. No, don't lick that. Okay, I just saw something red on him, but he just has a bandage. I was scared. You don't want to see red on your dog. I'm not sure why they even have red bandages, by the way. I feel like you probably should not have red bandages. Android and iPhone permissions? Yeah. That is what I would like to have. For things like pictures, that makes sense. Jester, don't lick that. Don't lick that. Why does he look embarrassed? That is what I would like to have, but again, there's some cases in which that would turn into too much. Like, you're compiling a big project, do you have to select every single source file individually? Or even if you're compiling a file or a project that has multiple source files in multiple folders, do I have to give... It's a bit of a mess. Or if I'm using the same compiler to compile multiple projects, I have to give it access to each project separately. I haven't quite solved that one yet, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle this. Okay, back to the compiler then. Back to the compiler we go. There's quite a lot of work that needs to be done in order to do the transformations properly. And that's for defer, where code moves around within the same function. Now, when code moves around before the current function, I don't know how to handle that one, to be completely honest. Because right now, I'm doing a transformation on a function. Makes sense. Okay. So, again, I use the context to inform any rule inside of this one. You're currently inside of a function, okay? And they can even pass information like if it has a defer or not. And if it has a defer, then I don't replace. I add a statement to the beginning of the function, which is the declaration of the return val. Cool. And then I could also do the same thing for the return value, for the return statement, just add the return statement at the end of it. I have the code for it, but the code generator doesn't work well with it, so not for now. Not using that one for now. But everything is happening within the function. How do I do that for the what is it called? For a lambda, when it doesn't need to go at the top of the function, it needs to go before the function. So that's going to make it a little bit more complicated because I don't have access to the function's parent in order to add a new item to it. I only have access to the function itself. I don't have access to its parent, and so I don't know how to do that. But we're still on the fur right now. So we're okay. We're okay. For the time being, I think we're fine. So far, this is actually already helping me remove quite a lot of complexity from the code generator, and any amount of complexity removed from the code generator is helping me towards making that whole mess cleaner. So I enjoy it quite a lot. Now, instead of a boolean has the fur, because another thing that's happening is when you defer, you're not just putting the word defer somewhere, you're actually writing code that needs to go to the end. So I'm hoping that I can replace this has defer with a code gen, which you don't know what a code gen is, funnily enough. No, you do. Okay. Where I can put all the defer statements, they get emitted at the end of the function. Here, pretty much all of this. Instead of has defer, the first thing I do is I check if we already have some code that is being deferred, or if we don't already have some code that is being deferred. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we were doing here. No. Wrap in block. Oh, hold on. I might not even need to do some extra logic in here. Yep, I don't need to do some extra logic in here. Cool. Okay. So actually it's super easy, because all I have to do is wrap the first statement's expression into the first statements And that will become the new defer statement. And this actually doesn't return itself anymore. It returns empty because, yeah, the deferred code is no longer going to do anything. It's already been moved. It's out of circulation, essentially. And my game works, but that's not what we're working with right now, are we? C transformer. I haven't finished fixing all the issues, have I? No. The first statements. Pointer. Right, that's how we know that there is a defer statement. Then we also do code body equals to wrap in block the context defer statements into the body at the tail. So whatever we've deferred, we add it now to the function at the end of it. And then we should be able to add the return value at the very, very end of it. Skip the expression for a second.
Martin Janicek followed your channel.
There's more problems with that. C transformer line 215. 215. Huh? What are you... What are you talking about? Oh. Okay. 211 has the actual problem, I believe. No. Alright, something broke. Oh, wow, what happened? Oh, emit context is broken. No, it isn't. This is. But the code generator should no longer handle the first. It shouldn't even emit any code for the first anymore. That's no longer your problem. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to handle I'm going to need to add a label to the thing that I just did, which I forgot to do. C++ levels of error. Yeah. Okay, I genuinely don't know what the fuck you're complaining about. Redefinition of code gen. That's it? That was it? God damn. Okay, so that did a lot better. Ish. Um, like I said, the label is not there. The return value is not there. That one I knew about. And also, returns are back to just being returns. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Again, I was able to remove a lot of code from the code generator, so that's always nice to have. That shouldn't have been the code generator's problem. Okay, so I'm just gonna create a label and then I'm gonna give the label a name. What's the name of it gonna be? It is going to be. That's a good question. It's a good question you got there. What's the label gonna be? Hi, next man. First off, slice. Screw it. I'm creating slices officially. Instead of string slices, they're just slices now. Yeah, slice, string, slice. Is it the other way around? Yeah. I don't know why I suddenly decided that I was gonna start writing slice everywhere, but yeah, apparently. Now you know what a slice is. Cool. You do the conversion here, buddy. And then you don't emit a token, you emit a slice, and you I could just do this, right? That would be simple. But that isn't correct. Because it is actually a string. With the name of the function underscore defer. That's it, actually, that's just the name of it. And actually, yeah, this isn't even part of that. Slice from... I don't have a slice from string? That's weird. Well, anyway, hey, Maleficus. Code name. Right, so we use the name of the function. Because if multiple functions have deferred, then you can't have... They can't all have the same name for the label. Because I believe label names are global. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just overcomplicating this whole thing for no reason. But I feel like they're not global. There is a string from slice, but not a slice from string. Static inline slice. Slice from string. String s. Yeah, maybe having it called slice is a little bit of an issue. You can only go to a label within the same function? Really? Oh. Well, then forget this whole thing. Forget the whole thing. Bye-bye. Nothing helps me relax more after a long day of coding like watching someone else code. Nice. Okay. Oh, you could corrupt the stack. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, thank God. Thank God. Okay, so we just create a label. It's actually that easy. That easy. And before we emit any of the contents of the defer, we just emit the label, which segfaults. I love how you can tell that a segfault is about to happen. Because the code, it actually takes a little bit for anything to happen. It's like, segfault. Okay, who's segfaulting though? What a This is maybe the second time that this has happened on stream. The first time it took me a lot longer to realize this. Why am I able to assign a value to itself in its declaration? How is this valid C code? I'm not even gonna give an opinion, I'm just gonna move on, okay? There it is, it works. Okay, so the fur is back. The format actually fixed itself, finally enough. We were deferring an x equal to 0 and cleanup. The x equal to 0 being quite weird, but hey. Not half bad. And what I wanted to look at is street. Defer the cleanup. And defer the x equal to 0. Are they in the right order? Does the order matter? I feel like the order maybe matters. Are they in the correct order? It's cleanup first, and then X. Okay, yeah, they're in the correct order. Okay. I thought I put them in the correct order, but I wasn't sure. And then, another thing that this needs to do, because again, yeah, I created the label for the defers, but this return actually just returns directly. It's literally a return. So how do we fix that? Well, we fixed that. You got your keyboard input like from the BIOS? How we fix that is by this part is kind of gonna suck. Replacing the returns inside of the body. This part is. Oh, it's mapped not right. Where are you getting it from? The statement type equal to sem rule return ret. Yeah, if the code is a return, then we're going to replace it. CMake for OpenGL shaders. What does it do? Since I'm writing a renderer, I might be interested in learning about that. Oh, PS2 driver. Right. You guys have the privilege of having that. I don't. I'm a little jealous of you right now. You know what? There's an ad coming up, and Jester has to have dinner. So I'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, we are back. Poor thing. Between having to have his like blood work done today and surgery tomorrow, he's having like one meal. Now he ate a little bit earlier, but like this is his last meal until tomorrow night probably. And he hadn't eaten since last night, besides a little bit in the afternoon. So he's so not used to this. You can still get PS2 if you connect. Oh no, thank you. No. There's no need for that. Thank you. Nah, more so I would want PS2 on the virtual machine. There I'm not allowed to have it. It's that simple. But yeah, I understand what you say. Then again, I don't think the average user just has a PS2 keyboard laying around that they're willing to connect to GPIO on the Pi. Also, I have my Pis in cases. They have like a cable connected to GPIO for UART. That's it. Well, actually, the 5 has its own port, so it's not even connected to GPIO. Okay. If there is a return statement, then we are going to replace it with two statements. One is going to be a goto, and one is going to be an assignment. Okay. Let's start with the goto because that's the easy one. Go to no, it's a code gen. That's the type. Go to code. Go. Oh, jump. It's called a jump. Okay. Then the JMP code. Go. Let's call it go. Equals to the goto codes pointer. And to it, we are going to jump to, again, should be a slice, not a token. We are jumping to dafer. Should be a sign, should be a slice, not a token. Should be a slice, not a token. Should be a slice, not a token. There we go. Tabs tend to, no, okay, tabs. Oh, you have to put a special character for that, right? Okay, so we create a jump. That's the easy one. And then we create a assignment. Where do you understand how this is a declaration? What do you mean it's undeclared? I am declaring it. What do you mean it's not declared? I am declaring it. I do declare. Right there. What the actual fuck is that? I thought maybe the word ass was reserved in C, but no, it's not. Bro, why is my ass not declared? Is Clang just tripping right now? Oh, for a second there I thought it was, but it's not. Is ass code not a type? Well, maybe it's just not ass code. Ass code! This is some ass code, by the way. Saying that. By the way, the ass doesn't need to use a token. The ass uses a slice from now on. Okay, so we're gonna have to make that change as well. Token to slice. Do you want to go out, Jester? Import ass.h. Bro, ass code right here. Right here. What are you going on about? This is literally a declaration. How can it possibly be undeclared inside of a declaration? I feel like... As undeclared. Did you mean asm? No! This is a declaration! Is this not a declaration? Am I going crazy? Is this not how you do declarations in C? I don't know, I haven't written C in about 5 seconds, so maybe it changed. Since 1999, which is assumed when they released C99, I'm pretty sure. What the hell? Codes gen ass code. Oh my god, it's the ass code. It's shadowing. It's the ass shadow. It's the ass shadow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My god. Thanks. I didn't notice that. Okay. Ass is back on the menu. Wait, no. The ass's expression is actually going to be the original return values expression. And then we gotta put the whole thing together. Where my ass throws compiler errors. Yep. My ass was throwing compiler errors. But I whooped its ass and now we're good. Now we're good. Okay. So I wanna chain wrap in block the goto into an empty block actually. It's easier to do it the other way around actually. We want to be efficient about this, right? So we want to empty, false. No, except the goto goes last. So I was actually doing it right.
S.
Nice. I whooped the ass's ass, yes. Okay. And then we replace the code stat with the B that contains the ass. The B with the ass. And that way we can replace returns with asses and gotos. But only when we're deferring. Okay. After we've done all this, we just replace returns in the code body. And we're not replacing the top level element, so I think we're good. I don't think I'm gonna hate myself debugging this. If anything, I'm cleaning up the code and making it better. No, it didn't work, but I am cleaning up the code and making the code generator a lot simpler. So I like that. Oh, do you mean just because I called the variable as? Yeah. Nah, I don't care. Not a single one was called. Because I completely forgot to chain this function. So unless the first one is a return, it wasn't going to work. Replacing red with asGoTo, replacing red with asGoTo. Go to the fur, go to the fur. Go to the fur, go to the fur. No! You were supposed to replace this one. Wait, what's this one? And why is it double? Oh, wait. There is a return value being added by this whole thing. And so it is also being replaced. This return value should be added after we've replaced the other returns. One for each cheek. Fuck off. Alright, there we go. The return is back. These two are... I'm not sure, because there are two defers. So it does seem like... Yeah. But also... No. Because there should be assign defer, assign defer. Whereas instead, we have go to, no asses. Oh, that would be because I'm actually adding the go to twice instead of adding the ass. So it's go to first, and then ass, because ass replaces go to. I mean, goes on top of go to. I forgot to assign it to a variable. So I'm just assigning to nothing. It did work. Wait, no, there's only one return. There's two defers, but there's one return. I completely... Yeah. Yeah, hold on. So it's good. It's good. It's working. The only issue is the ass doesn't have a name. But we'll give it a name. We can actually now use that. And we're almost done with... It's not a valid state. Oh, I think I turned off the... What is it called? Yeah, clang. No, it isn't turned off. It actually has so many errors at the beginning of the function that it doesn't even realize. It doesn't even get to this point. It just gives up before it gets to this point. Okay, so there we have it. Return value with a goto to defer, which goes here, cleans up, does this, returns. It doesn't currently return the value that it should return. Or why does it not return the value that it should return? Because we haven't assigned the value to return. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, we have to make const value, no, const expression exp code init expression code equals to exp code gen pointer code val equal to exp, except it is a token. It is a token. The funny thing is that token and slice are pretty much the same thing in terms of the way that I use them. They're the same thing, but they're not actually the same thing. Anyway, make constant expression from slice from literal return val. Okay, and now this becomes a slice too, which means this gets transformed to a slice. Again, these should have been slices. I shouldn't be using tokens, like from the tokenizer, this far into the compilation process. That's my fault. Emit slice. You check its length. That seems like it. Oh. Well, that's not good. Now is it? Oh. Because it never returns. Now does it? I have an AST. But the thing is, tokens are literally just slices with a little bit of extra information on them. Like the type that they are and whatnot. So, that's why I just used them. It's convenient. Is my camera lagging? No, it's not. Or if it was, it no longer is. Boom, return value. Look at that. Look at that. We've cleaned up the code. We saved the farm. Everything is good in the world now. Would you look at that? The C transformer is transforming the defer. I think that's it. Yeah, that should be it. These two spaces probably shouldn't be here, though. Oh, those two spaces are probably from this. No, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're from the defers. They're from the defers. Okay, so defers, you should have eliminated yourself from the running. Should have. They did. They did. It's just that the generator, kind of doesn't handle that. There we go. There are a lot of places where there's a bunch of code being generated with empty spaces like that, but also this is wrong. Should also be handled by the test generator, by the way. This should be handled by the test generator. The test generator? What the fuck kind of code have I been writing where there's a test generator all of a sudden? The transformer, not the test generator. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. And, okay. I feel like that test generator blunder is enough to tell me that it's time. The end goal is to transpile to C? Yes. I don't know about end goal. The current goal is to transpile to C. Again, like I said, I think at the beginning of the stream, beginning-ish of the stream, is transpiling to C makes it really easy for me to tell, is my code doing exactly what I think it should do? With an executable, I have to test if it, if it makes sense, if it works like I expect it to work. Whereas with C, again, I can produce completely nonsensical code, but syntactically correct, which is what I care about. Even a little bit semantically correct, just skipping a little here and there. It thinks that this is a variable. Oh, because it doesn't realize, yeah, my language allows you to skip these, but it's a function, buddy. Okay, so that should be enough for today. Yeah, that's enough. All right. So I'm gonna end the stream here. I am going to consider what I can do about lambdas, because everything that I just did for the first is within the same function. And so who handles that is the function itself. The function is the one that rearranges all the code. That won't be the case for lambdas, because lambdas are actually supposed to be generated outside of the current function. So the current function isn't going to be the one to handle this. It should be its parent, but its parent doesn't know that it is the parent of a function. So how am I going to handle that? I have no idea. I have no idea. If it was after the function, I could make it work, because the function... No, it doesn't have a chain. Never mind. I could make it work, maybe, but it doesn't work. But what is going on with the spamming? I gotta wait for Discord to update. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out because I have no idea how it works. But I am going to do that off stream, or I might do that in the next time I work on the compiler. I'm not sure, but most likely I'm gonna do it off stream because it's gonna be a lot of figuring this type of stuff out. Just lambdas or closures. Right now they're just lambdas, but technically what I need are closures. Okay. Send the repo. Where? You can always poorly imitate closures with objects. That is probably the way that in places where I am using kind of function pointers for callbacks, and I need to do something like closures, I am just using variables, which isn't the cleanest, but yeah, it is what it is. So I might have to do something like that, yeah. Then again, that's C. It's a simple language, no hidden complexity to it. We're adding the complexity, but since we're compiling to C, we're unhiding it. You can easily tell exactly what everything translates to. Of course, someday I will want to have it compile an executable directly, but I'm not in a hurry to do that in the slightest. Or compile to assembly and then compile an executable, or also just compile an executable. Or compile a .o file, which can then be linked with C files. There's steps to this. And I'm not in a hurry to get any of those steps done. The C code transformer and the C code generator are more than enough for the time being. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some more transformations here and there whenever I have time. But no, the link won't work on YouTube. YouTube blocks links. Sorry about that. There's actually nothing I can do about it. It's not even a setting that I control. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream. I am gonna link Discord. Also, if you want to send the link over on Discord, you're welcome to. And I'm not gonna stream again until Friday. And Jester is finally going to be invited to barbecues again because he is going to have a new grill. He's just getting his teeth cleaned, but I'm hoping they don't put veneers on him. They could use them. Yeah. So next stream is Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central European time, and 6:30 UTK time. I was gonna say UK time. I definitely need to end the stream now. I'm very tired. All right, thank you so much everybody for joining. I will see you Friday.